today's session. It's not really on Power BI, but it's on that aspect of data analysis that it's applicable to everyone. I do tell people that SQL is the algebra of the data analysis, the same way everybody expects everyone to know basic algebra. In the data analysis space, they expect you to be able to do basic SQL querying, select statements. So in this session, I'm going to try to walk us through SQL because the audience for Power BI, I think we are more sophisticated than Excel audience, right? That's always been my assumption. I might be faster than I was for the Excel community. We finished the Excel one just some minutes back. So, but if you think I'm too fast, you can slow me down. I just feel like maybe you might get more value from me trying to cover a lot rather than taking too much time on each topic. But so let's get into it. This session is brought to you by UrBizEdge and MHS Analytics. Essentially, they are the same company. UrBizEdge is in Nigeria. MHS Analytics is in Canada, but it's the same entity. So UrBizEdge, we run trainings, data analysis trainings. Unfortunately, the space is always dynamic. We try to specialize, but the truth is, the clients, even when we consult for companies, the asks, the client wants you to solve a problem. They don't care. They don't even know whether you used one tool or you used 3 tools or use 5 tools. What they know is they got a data analysis problem. You have come to them as someone that can solve it, and you are promising that you will solve it, and they are okay with your quotes. Then that's all. You should get the work done. You should not start in the middle of the project, start saying, oh, this thing was told, I was told this was supposed to be an Excel project or a Power BI project. Now I'm realizing that I need to do SQL. You guys didn't say SQL. It's going to be embarrassing, it's not even proper, So a lot of times we do projects, even when I do financial modeling, it's not very common with financial modeling, but it's very common with Power BI and to some extent Excel, but most common with Power BI, where you will find out that the data you need is housed in an SQL DB or it's housed in a source where SQL is just the best approach, so that as new data flow in, they will flow into your report. You can do scheduled refresh. So I'm just trying to explain that SQL is something you should know. Like it has become that 1+1 that everybody is supposed to know, that 2+2, the basic algebra that we are all expected to know. So I was explaining that as much as we try to specialize, we still need to do what needs to get the job done. So unfortunately, in our trainings, we are not able to reflect all of that. So we are trying right now to do another approach where, you might know us for our usual training, the ones that are in the calendar, the ones that we've written books around, but we also have the ones that we realize that everybody needs to be aware of. So I will just put the link. You can check them out, and you might find some things that we have found as other relevant skills data analyst must have. I'm typing in the chat box. That's fine. Must have. So SQL is one of them. So Power Automate is becoming, I don't know, I'm careful not to use a blanket statement, but I'm increasingly coming across companies using it heavily. And Power Automate is similar to Azure Data Factory. So it's easier to learn this one and put your knowledge to Azure Data Factory, because as companies are beginning to do a lot of RPA, they are using Azure Data Factory, Power Automate. So I will advise you to just get exposure to those things. All right, so that's just about us. I've shared the links of my slides. I've shared the link. So we try to deliver value. This is the Canadian entity, and this is me. So I'm going to just share my LinkedIn profile. If we are not connected, connect with me. I don't need to waste time reading my profile to you. So connect with me on LinkedIn. I accept all connections except people. There are some people that you just know these people are too unreal. It's always very obvious. Those ones who they will tell you they like your profile picture, Are you're looking to make new friends, and they will put some picture of like a model or people who you know they are not real. Those are the people I don't accept. All right, so let's go into the agenda quickly. Like I said, I will be faster than I was for the exec community folks. So I have a slide. Let me pull it up. The slide is what we use for our regular training. Let me quickly just pull the slide up. I'll just go to presentation mode. It's interesting, you know. This is a PowerPoint on the web, and it's got presentation mode. It's amazing. Now what's happening? Huh? Yeah. Okay. But everything is not showing. Something is looking weird. Your screen is not showing. Let me redo the presentation mode. Okay. Some part of my screen is not showing. All right, so let's go on. At least the major aspect is showing. So what is SQL? I don't think I need to do that one for us. So SQL is the language, is becoming the universal language for querying data sources, you know. I mean, querying data storage entities, so databases, even NoSQL database. So for SQL, there are 5 different types of interactions you will do with SQL. There's data retrieval. You are not modifying anything on the DB, you are just retrieving what you need. You can manipulate them on the fly, but you are not saving anything onto the DB. So yes, there is data manipulation where you are beginning to modify existing data within the DB. As a data analyst, you are not expected to do that. That's like data engineer, DB admin roles. Data definition. This is, you know, setting up of the, you know, like data architect, DB architects and stuff. People who need to set up the schema, do the design, do requirements gathering to be sure things are set up in a sustainable, scalable, robust way. Then we've got data control, transaction control. There are 2 separate things, but I just put them together because of space and they are similar anyway. So data control, transaction control all involves, you know, managing access rights, privileges, transaction, how the rules around how transactions are committed, how rollbacks happen, you know, failover. Am I saying it correctly? You know, failover systems and redundancy and a whole lot of all those things. So for data analysts, you know, most of what you need to do will be data retrieval, pulling data, manipulating it, pre-transformation, bringing it into your analytics tool, you know. So we are going to focus on that. Then databases, again, I'm going to skip this one. We all know what databases are as a Power BI person. So I would just say there are the general types of databases. We've got the relational data types. I mean, database. They're the ones that have been around for a long time. My colleague has updated this. So great. MySQL, Postgre, SQL Server, and then we've got the non-relational one. If you hear of NoSQL, Cassandra, all those funny names, Cassandra, Ali. I'm just joking. There's no ID one, but there are many of those, you know, funny names. And the truth is, they are allowing you to just like when you see a data leak, that is like the poster child for non-relational data storage, where you're just dumping in the data there, and then somehow you have to use a way to extract the data. So for Microsoft Azure environments, you start hearing Costo query language is SQL, but modified for their no relational data sources. If you're if you're on Google Cloud, then you start hearing BigQuery, you know. So let's move on. Let's get the story part behind us. I tell people who are trying to do this as a career, you know, you're a data analyst. You are not someone who is a web developer who is just setting up DB to support your web development. You are not maybe a software developer. You are just doing a DB as embedded within your software. You know, for those people, they can use SQL Express, they can use MySQL, MariaDB. But if you are doing this as someone who is going to be analyzing data for organizations, I will tell you that it's best you be conversant with using SQL Server Management Studio. And I would even tell you that if you have to set up a DB locally on your computer, right? Just make sure SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server. If you want to add one more, you can have Postgre. Those are the two very popular enterprise SQL servers. The MySQL one is the most popular, but it's not used for enterprise solutions typically. It's usually used on web platforms as something embedded within another solution because it's free. And then it's also lightweight. It's already baked into WordPress and many web frameworks. So you know how life is now. Most people don't change the default of things. So that's why it's very popular. And MySQL is equal to MariaDB. So Sun bought MySQL and some people were not happy about it. So MySQL is I think it's still anyway, open source. So some people created they forked and created another version of MySQL. So for our training demonstration, we are going to focus on SQL, Microsoft SQL Server, and I'm going to use a SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. Now, as for the installation of all those things, I will put the links. I will go and copy the links from the session we finished so that I can go straight to the practical. So what schema was, I don't know. Should I? Okay, let me just do this one. How do I go back? Okay, so schema is a logical container. I'll be fast. Schema is a logical container of database objects, your tables, views, procedures, namespace, it's all of the artifacts within the DB are tried to be logically separated to schema so that you could pattern your business entity. So if you're a company, you might have like finance schema, production schema, HR schema, so that sort of if you give someone access to a schema, you will know they will not have access to a schema you didn't give them access to. So you don't want to give someone access to schema of HR if the person is not supposed to have anything dealing to do with HR. So it's a logical break. It's the logical breakdown of all of what you will work with, or aggregation of all the database objects. So I'm going to skip this because I want to go to the thing that is important. So I always advise that download the Microsoft SQL Server Developer full version. So currently, the most recent version is 2022. So I'm going to put this in the chat. For SQL Server 2022. Download the developer version. That's the full version. Don't download the Express version. Remember what I said. Express is to create a lightweight DB. It's light feature. It's not something you want as someone who should be very good with DB, with data, with querying data. Companies don't use Express. Where they should not anyway. If they're using it, they should not. It's not meant for enterprise use as such, as like your main enterprise DB. Then download also SQL Server Management Studio. So you install them in that order. You first install SQL Server Developer. Go with the default basic installation. Don't do custom. Don't do anything complicated. Okay. I also advise that you create a SQL. Let me show you how you do that. Once you install, there will be no problem. Once you install and you turn on SQL SSMS, this is this Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. Sorry, this was the artifact from the class I just finished. So when you do that, what will happen will be that let me just open another instance. Okay, so another instance is opening. So once you install this, right, and you launch it, it will detect the server that you have installed, because now once you install a SQL Server on your computer becomes a server. It becomes a Microsoft SQL Server, right? This thing's taking forever. Anyway, once you installed SSMS and you open it, it will detect. You will see that it will detect that you have a database already installed a server already installed on your computer. So this is it. I think I must have installed twice. So you pick it, and instantly you will see, and then you do connect, and then that's it, So you will see all the tables. By default, you won't have much. Okay, so that brings me to another thing. You should set up Azure Data Adventure Works. So that's what I'm going to use for this demonstration, but I'm advising and I'm recommending it, download Adventure Works. It's a company that is into bicycle. They sell bicycle parts. Adventure Works 2019. Full DB. So someone in the other session was asking me, should they download the light version or the full? Download the full one. Don't download any light version, lightweight. Download full OLTP. OLTP version 2. OLTP version. Okay. So I am using 2019. You can download 2022. It's very little difference. So they updated the dates. My own date might be showing records up until 2014. Yours might be showing to 2019. But we have the same type of things. So let me show you what the schema of the DB looks like. So this is the schema. It's most importantly, it has sales, purchasing, person, production, human resources schema. For this demonstration, I think I will do something that is robust and also easy to follow. So I'm going to do sales. So I'm going to demonstrate some stuff using the sales schema. Okay, so don't worry, I will try to explain. I'm just showing you that this is important for you to have when you set it up so that it's easy for you to see how everything is linked within the DB. So let's go to the practical side of things. Okay, so I have an outline that I think I put in the calendar invites, right? Let's go grab the outline. I'm going to paste it here. At some point, I will not follow this outline again, but at least it will give you an idea of what I intend to cover. Because it was becoming unnatural, I had to be looking at the outline and knowing what to do. So I will be a bit more freestyle with us in this case. But at least I will keep it as a guide so that I just know what to cover. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And if you comment or anything, you want to raise your hand so that I can give you ability to speak. Just I have 3 screens, so I will be able to see whatever it is, that you are pointing my attention to. Okay, so let's start. This is the DB I want us to use, right? Adventure Works. I've mentioned it's a company that's into sales of bicycle parts and they are across North America, Europe, Australia. So I think that's where they do their sales. And then they've got HR, they've got all the people, entities, whether staff, client, vendor, and then they've got production, all the things relating to their production, and then they've got all the things relating to procurement, purchasing. They've got all the things relating to sales, and that's the end. Okay. Yes, we'll share the recording afterwards. So let's start with let me use what I use for the other class so that I can at least build on that. I'll be faster rather than using something different. Okay, so let's use sales. So I'm going to start with, by the way, you need to be certain that you're on if you have more than one DB, be sure that it is the DB you want to work on that is here. Otherwise, you might need to use the SQL use a DB. So in my case, I'm already on the database I want. I don't need to say use. So I can start writing the SQL statements. So let's start with the one that is like the basic. Select all from which table now? Let's do this. Let's say I want to select from sales order details table. I do this. I can go to execute and it will execute everything I have here. right? I can do F5. So F5 is faster. It's like a shortcut. You see it to write it there that you can do F5, execute F5. So select star shows you everything. So that's easy to know. Now, there's another one where if I want to just select the distinct, I want to select the products that we sold. What are the products that we have sold, the distinct. So product ID. So I have to now start typing what I want. So I can see it is product ID. It's not coming up, right? Why it's not coming up here is I have not done a from. If I do a from statement and I drag this table name here, so SSMS is nice and a bit intelligent enough. It will start to do, intelligence. I can start to see all the tables, all the columns I can pick. So this is what I want. So if I say select distinct product ID, let's remove this distinct. Let's even not put it. So let's see what happens if I do this. If I do this, I'm going to have product IDs, but they are not going to be distinct, right? They are repeated, right? I'm having 121,000 rows, 317. 121,317 rows. So if I put the keyword distinct, I'm not going to have that problem. So if I select this and do F5, you see I have just 266 rows. So those are the products we have, right? I can decide that I want to count it. So count as total products. Products. So if I write this as one word, no problem. If I want to write it as like space, then there's going to be problem. I have to either put it this way. And then it will work. If it's a column itself, you can do this, for columns, that's really way. So, but if it's something that is not a column, it's not an existing artifact within my table, right? I can get away with just using this with this. So it's just left for you, but most of the time we use this approach so that we're able to separate what is part of the table artifact itself, differently from what we are creating on the fly. So you will see me using this approach. So back to here now, we've seen how I can do this, right? Now, let's leave this alone and move to another line. Now, when we did products ID and we did distinct, it showed me the product. Let me just reply and tie. Let's create there will be recording available. Pardon me if there's typo in my typing. Okay, so I have this, right? How many of us, enjoy seeing reports that is just ID? We like to know what the product name is, right? So that brings us to, there's a table. There's another table called production product that has the product name, right? So if I click here and I expand the columns, you will see that in this table, I have the production name, production ID, product name, I mean. So let's even start with something a bit easy. So if I say, give me all the product ID. In fact, give me all the records. No, let's just leave it at this. Give me all the product ID. Then I want to see also the product name. Then I can join this to the product table, right? And say that it should join on. So this join is inner join. There are a couple of joins. Let me see. I have a screenshot somewhere for you guys. I always get lost on my computer. This is it, yes. Let me copy, let me paste. I hope it pastes. Yeah, it pastes. So you see that I've pasted in the chart, different joins. So we have inner join, left join, right join, full outer join. When I don't put anything, what happens is it does inner join. So when I say join, it does inner join. But if I want left join or any of all those ones, I have to specify. So why I'm mentioning that is when I write in join, it's doing inner join. I want to tell you. So join on what? I will tell you to join on product ID, right? Is equal to product ID on this other side. On the sales order detail, product ID. So now there's going to be a problem. You can see it's underlining all these things. It's ambiguous. The names are ambiguous. Why? It doesn't know there is product ID in two different tables, in this table and in this table. So I need to specify which one I want. So whenever you are bringing in more than one table into your select statement, you should always use alias. You should always specify that, okay, I want this to be maybe order detail. Yes, a detail. Then I want this to be a product table, right? And you can omit the as, but I always put it because it makes my queries easy to read. So in that case, I will need to start prefacing everything with the version I want. So in this case, this should be the other details table one equal to the product one, right? I need to remove these brackets now. Okay. So if I run this, you won't really notice any difference. I'm getting the exact same thing. But what is now available to me is that everything I have in these two tables, I can show. I can now display everything I have in this and everything I have in this. And if you remember, there's something we have in this that we don't have in this, and that is the product name. So I can now say, give me the product name. So that's the advantage of the join. I'm now able to pick across all the two tables or more tables I have joined. So if I do this now, I get this. So the other problem now is I want to show them distinct. I don't want them to repeat. So we are back to this is being repeating again and again. So that brings us to the keyword called group. So I can decide to do a group by to make it a lot easier. So I will just say, instead of just showing me everything as it is, right? So when it was just one table, I could do distinct, or when it was just one column, that's even the right word. But now that I'm showing two columns, right, two or more columns, group by becomes the more appropriate way to show it. So I'm going to say group by. So in this case, let's say I put this one first. I can just dump the same two things anyway. So for group by, you must put every column, literal columns. Only calculations you can omit. I will explain what I mean. Don't worry. So I'm just dumping these two same things there, these two literal columns in my group by. And if I run this, you can see it's no longer showing duplicates, right? Okay, now, if we check our original stuff here, when we did this, right, we notice that we had a lot of values records. There's unit price, there's total amount, there's quantity. So what if I want those things? What if I want those records? What's the unit price? So let's not even do unit price. Let's say I want to see total sales and I want to see total quantity, right? So in that case, what I can do, I can come in here and do a calculation and say I want the sum of this is what D sales date order data. D dot then let's start with quantity dot order quantity. Now I will say this will show as quantity. You know what? Let me show you what will happen when I don't put anything there so that you see for yourself. Then I'm going to say D dot the line total, this one, which is the sales amount, line total. Okay, so if I run this, it will run. There's no problem with technically, but then you see it said no column name. So to make this meaningful, I have to say this will be as quantity, as order quantity. And this as sales amount. So because they are one word, I don't need to put them in brackets, square brackets, or in a single apostrophe. So once I do this now, right? I hope I'm not too fast. Please let me know. I'm actually faster than what I did for the Excel people, but like I said, I'm assuming that you guys are like a bit more on the fast. Yeah, you are probably wanting me to go faster and cover more. But if my assumption is fallacious, just tell me, Michael, can you redo this? Can you slow down? Can you break it down more? So if I run this means I select this and I do F5. You see, I now have something more meaningful to read, right? So the other thing is I like my sales amount, even everything. I like it to be comma formatted. So I can come here and say I want to format this as a number. So comma in single apostrophe, N for number. Then this line is becoming long, right? I can break this down. Can actually break this down as long as you do tab, so that it makes it easy to know that it's a continuation of a line. So I can break this down for easy reading. Okay, so I can say format this as number. Okay, then if I run this, I'm getting the same thing, but then it's comma formatted, right? Then I can say this should be currency. And this goes in. And if you have a particular, somebody asked this in the other class, that's how I decided, let me just add it. If you have a particular currency type in mind, so I think we say if this was Japanese yen, just to get the locale to use. The currency symbol we change accordingly. I don't think they have Nigeria. Let's try yen. NG. Let's try our luck. Whoa. Well, we're also there. Okay, so and so let's leave this. This is good on its own. Let's try to do something interesting. Okay. So this thing that I've done, right? This is across an entire table of records. So let me show you what I mean. Order detail. Select all from order detail. Okay. Okay, I forgot to put it from. Now, this is the table we used, right? You will notice this table does not have sales dates. So information like sales dates, They are in a separate table. They are in this other table called sales order header. So that's where we have those ones. So if I just come below here, do select all from sales order header, right? And I highlight just that part, I run it. Now this shows me order date, due date, ship date, sales order number, purchase order number. I see the sales rep. I see a lot more information. I even see territory, which shows me the region the sales happened, So with all this information, more importantly, is if I want to see what we did in a particular period, maybe what we did in 2014, what was let's say our 2013 annual sales, because this thing does not, if I do order by due dates, this is going to go by default ascending. So the data starts from 2011, 2011 May end. So if I say this should do descending. So you see how you can order by. It shows that the most recent data is for end of June 2014. Okay, so now that we know that, if I want to see sales that we made in the month of June, let's even say that, I want to look at our most recent monthly sales. So that is easy for me. All I need to do is simply to add a where clause and say where due dates is between 2014 0601 and 2014 0630, right? So let me just check my, okay, great. So if I run this, you will notice that this has 31,000 rows of record, right? Now, if I run this, the number of outputs should be much smaller. So I'm having 1,416 rows. So those are the records that were for that period, okay? So that is good. Now, the other thing is, I don't want just everything. So I want to see the total sales, and I want to see the region that sales is meant for. So let's say I want to see this day-wise sales, daily sales. Let's just put it that way. Let's change this to order dates. Let's change this to order dates instead of due dates. Order date looks more reasonable. Okay, that was the date the order was placed. Okay, good. So I'm going to do that. So now, instead of always returning everything, you can directly specify the columns that you want. So I want to see the order dates. Let's say, yeah, I want to see the order dates. I want to see the money involved. Money is important. The money, I want to see the region that we made our sales to. So the region we made the sales to is represented by territory. Let's leave it at this for now, right? So those are the things I want to see by. So you can also specify the specific columns you want to display. And then if I run this, the number of columns that gets sent back to me are now limited to what I have explicitly, pointed out, displayed. Okay. So I can format the dates. I've not tried that part, but let's try it. So I think if you want to format the date to show in a particular way, there's Toka but Toka might not work for. Let me cheat. Let me check in my cheat sheet. Okay, so perfect. I can format these dates as if you are used to Excel, it's the same approach. So it will just be, I want it as DD, Nigeria, this is the easiest way we use, right? DD, YYY. Okay, so let's run it. Okay, I forgot to do something. has to be in caps. So this one is case sensitive. I don't know why it is that way, but yeah, let's do that. Okay, good. Then I need to say as dates, other dates. Anytime you see this no name column, it means that based on what you have done, right? Sorry, I put it in the wrong place. Based on what you've done, you could not figure out a name to give it, so you have to explicitly set the name. Okay, so I'll run this. All right, good. So this is nice. I'm happy with what I see. So the situation or what I want to do next is this. I want to group. I want to see all the total sales. So let's remove territory ID. Let's do this. Okay, so if I want to see the total sales, what is the Power BI one? PI, webinar. Okay, so I want to see, instead of multiple records for 1st of June, right? Instead of multiple records for 1st of June, I want to see only one 1st of June and one 2nd of June. Are you getting it? So each day-wise results, right? So if that's the way I want it, then I need to do something called group by. So I have to come here and say group by. I have to put everything that I'm not aggregating. Since I'm not aggregating, it's not a calculation. This is not sum or something. So I have to put this, and then I also have to put, yeah. So this one is the thing that it will group by. Then what do I want to happen here? I want this to be sum of. So it should total this sales amount. I want this to. So I have to put this in I want to write them as two separate words. So once I do this, that brings us to group by. Group by allows me to now group by the dates. Right? So now I have 30 days because there are 30 days in June, but it's not arranged well, right? So I can fix that arrangement and say order by same order dates. So order by is like sort by. Then if you don't put anything, it will do ascending order. So I can leave it that way. I can not put anything and let it do ascending order. See, this is nice. I want to format this number as Naira like we did the other time. Format. It's actually in dollars. So let's not change the currency for them. So except if you want to now multiply it by an exchange rate, but let's not do that. Let's just put currency. And if I run this, any questions so far? Okay. So now the other thing is, let's just put this here. I also want to now display this by territory. I want to display this by territory so that we're going to see day by day the territories and how much we made, right? So I'm going to now bring back that territory ID. So I'll say let's put the territory as the second thing. Territory ID. So the moment I bring territory ID, if I run this, it will not run. Why? Let me tell you why it will not run. I am aggregating this. Some is aggregation. I am not aggregating this. So everything I am not aggregating, neither am I aggregating this. So anything I am not aggregating, I'm not doing like sum, average, count, I'm not doing any of those kind of things to it. I need to explicitly, mention them in the group by. So let's see, if I run this, it will not work. And I've told you why it will not work, right? So all I need to do is, since I'm not aggregating it, I need to also ensure that it is here. Okay. And there's a funny way. If you use the SQL Server to generate codes, if you use this SSMS, this is how it likes to do its own, which is interesting, So it likes to do is, this is how there will now not be any comma here. So, but it's the same thing, it doesn't matter. So if I put that here and I rerun it, it will work, right? Okay. So I can tell it to also order by date and order by territory. So you can put many items on the order by too. So it will be like order first by date, then by territory. I'm going to run this. So you see? Okay, so this is not bad. The only issue is just that I don't know what territory this is. So it would be nice for me to get the territory name. Where are we going to get that kind of information? So let's go check. There is a table called sales territory. So if I just display to you what this table has, you see? So it has the territory ID and the name and group. So let's say that what I want really is to display, let's start with name, then we can go to group afterwards. So let's start with, I want to display the territory name instead of just the territory ID. Any questions? We are super quiet. And I see our numbers bouncing up and down. Is it like I'm too fast or yeah, good, you're getting me? Huh? By the way, if you stay to the end, I'll give us a gift. Let me even generate it out so that I won't forget. Remind me if I forget. Let me just do it now. So we have an online course on SQL that is very interesting. It's like a game. It's one of my colleagues who did it before he left us for another company. I know I'm going to forget. That's why I wanted to give the Excel people, I forgot. So let me just do it right now and now. So the name of the course is SQL Model, blah, blah, blah. Like he made it like a game anyway. So I'm going to generate coupon out for us. So the trick is, well, I will say you should do a bulk use coupon. No, multiple use coupon, yeah. And then 100%. So it will be completely free for you. I'll call it webinar. Today's date is 24 Sep 2023 webinar. So that will be the coupon name. I'll just give it webinar so that we know those are. It's going to be just for how many are we here? Then the other session they were. Let me just say 100, just so that in case nobody will complain that it was not even work. Let me do 50. 100 is too much. Let's do 70. When will it expire? As long as you redeem it before next year, it's lifetime access. So I'm going to save this. And I'm going to copy this. View. So I'm going to give us right now use this coupon to get lifetime access to our SQL mini project course, certificate course, because you get a certificate course. Let me also give, let me also quickly give tips. Let me give the Excel people. Thanks for attending today's webinar. So now that that is out of the way, okay. Thank you, Bello. Oh, you are here. Thank you, Bello. All right. So let's start with, instead of just showing the, this was not the one wearing, this one. So instead of just showing the territory ID, why not show the territory name? The territory name. Okay, so how are we going to achieve that? So let's see. Let's start with, first of all, back to yeah, sales or data. So let's start with select. Let's start with this. Let's start with all of this. So if I do this, right? Did I make any mistake? Value is not content. Okay. Yeah, I forgot to copy up to you. Let me just copy everything. I want to leave that on that one because I'm going to send you this code afterwards. So let's say this, we run this, which is what we have. Now the issue is we have territory in a different table, right? So we have territory. Select name. Let me just from territory table. Name, I think that's it. So select name from territory table. Let me put this in. I think it's correct. Okay. So we have this. F5. We have this, right? So the situation is I want to join the two. Right? So are you getting me? All I need to do is put a word called join. So join does that for me. I'm going to now delete this from here and say join to this table. So the moment I do this, I need to tell SQL, which is which. So I'm going to say this table is going to be as territory T. As T. So in that case, I'm going to say this one is as sales table. So territory table, sales table. Then it means that all of this one are from the sales table. So I want this from the sales table. I want this from the sales table. I want these two from the sales table. So I begin to specify which table is providing what, right? Then I want one more thing, right? So I want T dot name. So that one will now be from the this territory table. So join on what now? On sales table dot territory ID. Territory ID is equal to territory table dot territory ID. Okay. Order by is always at the bottom. So I need to remove this for now. It has to be, in fact, not just order by, all of this has to be at the bottom. So this group by too needs to be, so the arrangement is such that the group by needs to come after the join. So those ones need to be at the table at the bottom. Then even this too needs to be at the bottom. The join needs to come before that. So from this space on where then the other date will be from sales. There's no from. Okay. So select all of this from sales table as S, join to territory table as T. Make sure what I need from sales table is prefixed with S. The one I need from the territory table is prefixed with T. Let me just put this in D so that it will, because name seems to be a keyword. Okay, so now I need to make sure everything I'm writing, I'm letting it know which one is which. So order by, sales order, territory order, then, no, that's group by. Then also order by sales, order by, I would rather sort by territory name, if you ask me. Sort by order dates and territory name. So can you tell me what will happen when I like this will not run, but can you tell me why it will not run? Anybody wants to take a jest? Okay, Oga Said, I see you said you missed. You will watch the recording, no, but I don't know if anybody wants to volunteer to help anyway. But I know that, I know that the easiest answer is you will watch the recording. As for recording, I'll share the link of where you see the recording. It will be out by tomorrow. Now, my question is, if I run this, it will not work. I know it will not work, right? There's just one thing which is related to group by. That is the reason that it will not work. Can somebody tell me what is that one thing related to group by that I need to fix before this will work? So I've told us when you do group by, there's a rule. Things that are literal, like you're just giving back the column, you're not doing any aggregation on it. And the ones that you're doing aggregation on, there's something about those two types of things in your select. So I'm not doing any aggregation on this. I'm just formatting it. Formatting is not an aggregation. I'm not doing aggregation on this. I am doing aggregation on this. I'm not doing aggregation on this. Now that I've mentioned that, can you tell me why this will not work? In case you are doubting Thomas. So you see it's not working, right? So can you tell me why? I don't want you to see the answer. Let me just quickly do the one that will work so that you don't read the error message and know the answer. So can you tell me why this will not work? What I need to do differently to make it work? Anybody wants to give it a try? You will win a house in Banana Island, a duplex. If you get the answer, I will give you duplex in Banana Island. Even me, I'm laughing. Okay, Bello says because of the name. I don't know how to. I'm not sure. Just tell me if you can explain what like I should do, because maybe that's the easiest way. So Esther says you don't have to list out. You don't have to list out. Someone has gotten the answer. Olajide has gotten the answer. I need to put t.name also on group by because I am not aggregating it. So anything I am not aggregating, I need to explicitly list out in a group by. I'm not aggregating list.name. This one that I am aggregating, you see that I didn't have to put it, right? Now, if I run this, it will work. that's one of the things that will frustrate you for some time. Then you will get used to it, you know. So that's the annoying thing with group buy. Whereas if you're not doing group buy, it does not matter. You just put things anywhere you want and they will just always work. Okay, so just to prove to you that if I aggregate this, it will work. So if I come here and I put count, count is an aggregation. Because it's a text, I can't do sum. Now, if I do this and I didn't put it in this group, it will work because I have aggregated it. I need to say as something. So as count regions or something. If I do this, it will work. I'm not supposed to put it in order by. So if I do this, you see it works, right? But the moment I am not aggregating it, so that at least now it will sync in our memory. For me too, I used to have this error. But because once I've gotten used to it, so once I see it, I know what is wrong. But it wasn't like that instantaneous that I got used to it, because when you use where, you don't face that problem. Where we never say, oh, you must always put, you can put as many things as you want to see here. But when you're using group by, you have to make sure that anything you are not aggregating, you need to also list it in the group by. Okay, so let me just put it back here. T dots in. So with this, we are going to get the answer we are looking for. Okay, so I now have the territory ID sales amount name. There's one thing I did in my workplace, like a pivot table, where you now have the order date and you have the region like this. Except I turn on my company laptop. I can't remember how I did it, because it was really interesting. But I had to put in. It's just for me to get the tips. But do you have any questions? So maybe I'll stop here. I'm looking at our time. Any questions? But at least I've been able to cover most of what I have had on the agenda. If I drag in the agenda here, let me just drag my screen. I think I tried a bit, I think we covered Power BI. I think we covered, see, we're able to do these things. We didn't do top, but don't worry. We did where. Did we do multiple where? We did order by, we did group by. I've not done having. I did having for the other people. We've done between. We've done alias. We've done join. We didn't do plus anyway. So, but I don't want to drag things too much. If you have any question or if there's anything, particular thing in that list you want me to touch, I can easily whip up an example. Okay. Any questions? So in the meantime, I'm going to share the link to, if you want to present on our series, we are always looking for more speakers. So that's that one. Then also, if you want to watch the recording, by tomorrow, the recording will be live. This one will be live, Today's session will be live by tomorrow. Today's session will be there by tomorrow afternoon. Just type that. And feedback. So we would like your feedback on this session. Let me just get the feedback link. Yes, please help with. And if we are not connected on LinkedIn, I will reshare my LinkedIn connection. Please connect with me. Let me increase my net worth, and your net worth too. It's mutual. Like they say, your network is your net worth. Where's my LinkedIn? Connect with me. Okay. So once again, any questions? But did we find today's session a bit relevant, useful? I hope it was valuable. I know it might be fast paced, or it's like you are not able to practice along, obviously. Let me share all the links. The 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 queries. These are the things we did. Okay. And I already shared how you can grab how you can set up the adventure works and all the resources. So yeah, nothing pending. So thank you very, very much. I'm checking if there's any question from anyone. So we are good, right? I can head the session now then. To be included. I'm looking through at the message. So thank you everyone then. So bye bye. Have a very wonderful week ahead. Thank you. So I'm ending the session now. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, everyone. And to Dr. Olajide, who got the question right, was the first person to get the question right. I think also Bello too, but he didn't say it. I wasn't so sure until he said it second time was when I was sure what he meant. But thank you, everyone. God bless you and have a wonderful week ahead. Bye.